On Tuesday, Donald Trump will address a joint session of Congress. He's expected to tout his long list of executive orders, his major accomplishments so far, including several he signed just last night. One of them makes English, if y'all didn't know this, the official language of the United States. Our country has a 250-year-old tradition of not having a national language because we all kind of speak it. Charlie Sykes and Tara Setmeyer are back with us. Yes.
Tara, there just is irony the word I am looking for. There is just something so Trumpian about standing before a legislative body that his party controls and touting accomplishments that he has accomplished without them, because he has such little regard for that legislative body, for the people who elected the members of that legislative body, that he is going to go and brag about the fact that he is already operating as a king.
I think the word is authoritarian. He has completely neutered the United States Congress, particularly not Democrats, Republicans in particular. I don't know. I think they're all trying to find themselves and standing up for things and just allowing their power as Congress to be completely taken from them by Donald Trump. Once again, I remember there were times where Republicans were quite upset about a few executive orders that Barack Obama issued, and they thought, oh, this is an imperialist president, and how dare they? They were pearl clutching with that, particularly Lindsey Graham and others. And so, where's all of that? Where is all of that? Ruling by executive order is not the way our country is supposed to function. And the fact that Donald Trump is doing that repeatedly, and some of them are unconstitutionally, they're questionably constitutional, and they're just like, oh, okay, that's fine. But the other part about this, I think, the other word I would use is unconscionable, because Donald Trump will be returning to the scene of the crime that he was behind. This is where this is the first time he'll be back since January 6th happened. And how many of the Capitol Police officers who put their lives on the line that day are going to have to be there to protect that building again for this event? How many of the members of Congress who were traumatized that day will have to be there in that chamber and staring at the man who was behind that almost took down our free and fair elections in our government? I think it's appalling. And I think we really need a national reckoning as a country to be reminded of what happened that day, and that the American people chose to put that man back there and give him power again. There is something fundamentally very wrong with us as a country, the ones who chose to put that man back in power, who claim to be pro-law and order and pro the Constitution. I think Democrats should either, if they don't go, or if they do go, then they should sit there in silence. There shouldn't be any glad handing when he walks down that aisle. They should turn their backs on him in silence to make it known that they are not okay with this and that they are standing up for our democracy, and they are not going to fawn over an American president who disrespects everything about this country and our Constitution.
But the price of eggs, Charlie, that's what 2024 boiled down to. To Tara's point about what the Democrats could be doing, should be doing, may be doing, you do have Nancy Pelosi making note, let him stew in his own juice. She tore up his speech at one point during one of these sessions. Let him. I guess, somewhat to Tara's point, stand there alone without their support. How do you see the Democrat strategy here? Because it is going to be an interesting moment. I mean, the Congress is, I would say, make one correction. Trump didn't neuter the Congress. The Congress neutered itself. I mean, it took the Clippers and did the deed itself. So what say you, sir?
Okay, so let's go to this point, because that's an excellent one. In the Constitution, the Article 1, the first article, is the power of Congress. So the founders envisioned Congress as being the most important branch of government. You think about Donald Trump's power, it rests on what? 4 Republican senators not willing to call BS on this. His margin in the House is just a handful. Literally a half dozen Republicans could essentially say, no, we are the Congress of the United States. We do not have to bend the knee to this narcissistic bully in the White House. So this is a surrender by Congress. I've been thinking about this all morning, what Democrats should do. The only thing I can say is that recognize how completely abnormal this moment is. And I think that part of what Donald Trump has done is he has shattered all of the norms. He has executed this constitutional revolution, and yet he wants to have the trappings of the constitutional order around them. The institutions still stand, but he is draining them of meaning and of power. And I think people need to recognize how utterly abnormal it is. Now, does that mean booing? No. Does that mean standing and turning your back? No. If I was a member of Congress, quite frankly, I don't think I'd show up. It's like, no, you know what? I'm not going. A lot of the Democrats will, but I do think that again, no glad handing. There can't be any of the normal rituals of all of this. And the Nancy Pelosi's suggestion, make it a short, clear message. Make it clear to the American people that they are not accepting this, that they are going to fight against this, and that this is an extraordinary moment in American history. This is not just one more episode. And I know that we all say that kind of thing, but I think that at some point, if you say this is an existential crisis, this is a constitutional crisis, act like it, behave like it. Don't pretend it's same old, same old.
I think that is absolutely correct. The former comms strategist in me says Democrats should collectively not attend, including Leader Jeffries, and then they should hold a press conference after the response of Alyssa Slotkin, who's delivering the Democratic response. We'll see. I think the Democrats are going, and that's part of the dang on problem.
Right
I wouldn't
here. Go. But you see that that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, and they're still trying to say, well, we're going to show unity and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, if you're going to go, then you need to go and do something, to Charlie's point, drastic, to send the message. I wouldn't go. I agree with you.
Do not attend. Do not attend. Part of, you know what, we'll have more time to talk about it. I'll be taking wagers on my Instagram account about if the Democrats are going. Charlie, Tara, thank you. Tuesday, folks. Remember, we're not going, but we'll be here to talk about it. Be sure to tune in to MSNBC for our special coverage of Donald Trump's joint address to Congress. Ari Melber and Jen Psaki are going to kick things off at 6 p.m. Eastern with a preview. And then at 8, they will join Rachel Maddow and the team for coverage of the speech. The speech starts at 9. Then at midnight, the three of us, yes, we will bring you reaction from across the country. That's Tuesday right here on MSNBC. Up next, thousands